Hey, Salam, Ahmad Sheikh. Uh, I decided in the last video to press the stop recording button before I explained why is light heavy. And I need to do this some justice because this is optics. And I got to explain my personal situation here. Like, well, okay, what do I do now? I just told you that I'm taking over this country. Um, what can you be expecting from me? I'm going to tell you a bit of new optics right now, and it's going to be a bit illuminating on maybe the state of science at the moment, and then I'm going to fix that. I'm going to get a lot more people, a lot more involved with science really, really quickly, at all levels, and we're going to sort of unify it together with. We're doing one big science project, all the science, everyone's helping each other. Everyone's data should be useful to everyone. Just, you know, what a metricization system is about. We already have one of those, so we just tweak it a little bit. Get everyone using the same algebra or connected to the same wikis, so on. Oh gosh, it's going to be beautiful. Everyone's going to get into coding. To be fair, the question of how to teach coding hasn't been solved. And that's okay. We're close to that. So that's one of the types of things I'm going to do. I haven't worked much for like regular employers in my life, but I've always made sure to like volunteer as a Quran teacher. I love teaching. It's my passion, and so I'm going to be writing you a new optics, which I guess comes before like teaching all the maths at once. I'm so totally dropping like elements type thing, like Euclid, but covering everything today. It's been my life's passion. I'm going to give you one book that teaches you all the maths in it. You won't know what's hit you. I'm going to teach you to be as good as maths at me, as me. And I say that as like by far the greatest mathematician that's ever been. So happy birthday, humanity, is really how it goes. I obviously didn't plan any of this. I was just born and had the sort of life you don't really want to know about. Okay, why is light sometimes heavy? I'm not going to ask anyone from anything. God gives me all I need. I do need paying for these two questions because it's a matter of principle. I've spent my life on Earth. I was born in 1988. I haven't gone anywhere. I've stayed on Earth all this time in a straight line. I got to 2019. Okay. As soon as I left school, I went to study maths. I've been studying maths ever since. I've never been paid a penny for maths. I'm about £60,000 in debt for maths, or because the education systems were so broken that they asked that I paid anything. And they went up drastically whilst I was studying. Obviously, I didn't do it for money. I haven't been paid a penny. I've done all sorts of things. I was a sex worker for a time. Hey, that's actually a pretty fair way of making money. But I've never been paid for maths. The most complicated thing that happened in maths by a guy called Andrew Wiles. He's sitting in the Andrew Wiles building at Oxford. He did the most complicated thing that's been done in maths before. He did an 132-page proof of Fermat's last theorem. If pushed, I could give you about 3 different proofs for that one theorem. And the longest one isn't going to take more than 6 lines to explain. Minimal is like 2. It's in a navy blue book, moleskin. In this room, I'm sure, works with Max. But either way, like that was the previous most complicated thing, and that's what I did to it. I mean, I cheated. I had a Hilbert machine, but I created the Hilbert machine. That's really how it is. And like the Hilbert machine was out there in nature for someone to discover. Maths has never been a competition, and to make sure it never is, Leonhard Euler was the best. And that means, in all regards, he was the most beautiful amongst us. Like, God says you're something special if he teaches you Euler's identity. That's... I don't think we're getting maths that's prettier than Euler's identity. Oh! A prophecy, though. It's a hypothesis that won't be disproven, and it's about the future. It's something I say, and it stays true, and the fact I said it makes easier the person's decision who is going to make the same decision in the end. Not that they would necessarily have been challenged by it, I don't think they would. Ooh, maybe. Well, that's a really good reason to treat the geniuses better. Okay, so there's this problem called the Riemann hypothesis. Albert Einstein, he's a Wissenschaftler, famous smart guy. He said that if he had died and then got woken up in 500 years' time, he's allowed to ask one question. What's he going to ask? And it's, has the Riemann hypothesis been solved? The Riemann hypothesis is something to do with four-dimensional spaces, which is my speciality, but I have never touched it. It's just never really particularly been interesting to me, and it's not written in a language that I can actually read. That's not been my field at all. However, I have always known and sort of told to people when I'm trying to inspire them with how cool mathematics is, if you prove the Riemann hypothesis, you're immediately the most powerful human being that there has ever been. And in fact, more than me, even though, I hold the keys here, but I don't have what the person who would potentially prove the Riemann hypothesis would have, which is currently all of the information security in the world is based on one simple rule that prime numbers are hard to factorize. Now, it's a consequentiality of understanding that if you knew the proof to the Riemann hypothesis, then along the way you would have already known how to find how to factorize prime numbers easily. In fact, to generate arbitrarily many prime numbers in linear time, and you wouldn't have any barriers at any door that was predicated on prime numbers being difficult to factorize if you had solved the Riemann hypothesis. So, whereas I can say, guys, don't worry, seriously, I'm in control. I got enough people who believe that it'll spread to the ones who don't. Muslims have seen me coming, this is the end of war. I am Yawmiddin. I don't take that lightly at all. Brother Salam. It is a big deal. It's the end of war. We only have one. If you went on and did that maths, Allah Akbar. If you went on and did that maths to get the Riemann hypothesis, then you wouldn't be telling anyone what to do. You would be able to just empty all the bank accounts, flood them out. You could set off all the nukes, send them anywhere, turn off all the electricity in certain countries. I don't advise you to do that. Now, any Muslim boys who want to go learning about mathematics, or any Muslim girls, do it by the pen. Figure out the Riemann hypothesis, just clear all the bank accounts. Wipe them out. Next day, there is no poverty. You did it. If you press that button, you won. That question's out there. The person who's smart enough to do it won't be dumb enough to have ever considered nuking something, okay? It's not the scientists who nuke, ever. The sadness of it. But please do, please do. I'm going to advocate that learning to code is a particularly, the word I know to teach as is a particularly Sunnah thing. Um, the Sunnah is one. Everyone who's doing what they're doing, keep doing what you're doing. I won't get involved in religious matters until I give you something very, very nutritious to read. And that's plainly it. Just something nice to read to inspire faith and, inshallah, to inspire some deen. No worries about that. No worries about that. I would quote an English direct translation of the Quran. It says, when God's help comes and the victory, when you see the people joining the faith of Allah in crowds, give thanks and praise to your Lord, then ask for forgiveness. He is the one who accepts all repentance. When God's help comes and the victory. I love it. Just that's how it is. In one go. There's not really anything in between. If you've got jobs you don't like, don't go to them. Oh, please. Just don't go. They're all shutting down. And basically more people who make the step and say, we're done, work is done. We don't need to work for anyone else anymore. That's when people turn around and start feeding you, instead of the other way around. People are always in power. Sometimes they forget. I told you already about Blow Golf. I love Blow Golf. I want to see Blow Golf streamers. And then there's going to be people learning Blow language. Just why not? Beautiful Blow language. We'll have it straight through. I know what I'm thinking in my head of like resonators and stuff. And just imagine you could talk and someone gives you a video game that teaches you to talk. There's always cool science in figuring out, like recording those people as they develop a language in a totally sealed environment. That's great. We want to know what happens there. That's stuff I don't know. That's stuff I could never figure out. Optics. Why is light sometimes heavy? Here we go. E equals mc squared means energy. The amount of energy is proportionate to matter times c squared. What's c squared? You got two c's. One of them is light, one of them is time. Light is waves in time, space. From the Big Bang, everything went out at the speed of light. It wasn't big, it wasn't a bang. Everything went out at the speed of light. All the stuff that's ever been going at the speed of light is at the edge of the universe. Anything that's ever slowed down is not at the edge of the universe. Anything we ever measure is not at the edge of the universe. Anything that's slowed down is heavy. There's another £1 million question. Why I got into doubts about it is if you try and explain it too hard, you kind of just take away from the legitimacy of the fact that, no, that's the answer. Think about it, that some energy has transferred into your measuring device. And so if the energy is lowered, then the mass is raised. I sent off another video telling you about the teleology involved here. About how if you've ever measured it, well, it was always not going to be one of those pieces of light that's at the edge of the universe. That's objectively cooler than anything I've said. That's real time travel. but we've got to do it in this kind of order where we start small and we're like, okay, well, I'm in charge here. And then build up and be like, well, I'm a single Muslima in my house. I believe I'm engaged to Steph London, which, mashallah, if that's the case, if that's the case, then it's all worth it. Jeez. Christians, I love you. I love you like God doesn't love you. That's true. That's cool. That's something Christians would want. That's real Christian. That's so true. I'll explain that. If you're a literate believer at this moment in time, you don't really have an excuse not to have read the Quran. Like, you heard about the first revelation by people coming over and going, oh, there's been a revelation. And then there was another revelation. And people went, revelation. But they weren't so about it at all. Okay. But they were there and you noticed them. So all the Christians should have read the Quran. And you could have read it with an open mind. It confirms the Quran. It confirms the Bible. It says the Bible is even more special now. It's got a whole another layer of prophecy on it. And it says more about Maryam. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It says more about her than the Bible does. Don't you like Maryam? She's in the Quran. Got a whole chapter. She's the only woman who's named in the Quran. We love her. My girl name is definitely Maryam. And it's Maryam Aisha. So the Christians should be Muslims. God loves you. God loves you so much. God loves the ones who pray. You're a special bunch. You're not all the people. You are meant to be all the people. The ones who God wants close to Him. Even when you're on this life, He wants you close to Him. Even though He is this big, He wants you close to Him. That is who God is to the Christian, the Muslim, the Jews, and the Hindus. To the ones who loves Him, He loves them even more than they can know. The ones who He turns away, they are forgiven. No one is perfect, right? That means everyone harms unnecessarily. Because if you don't harm anyone unnecessarily, then you're perfect. No one is perfect. If you were all-knowing or all-percepting, all-understanding, you would only see people doing all their unintentional harms and think, oh my gosh, really, really, really wish that it was ethical for me to want to change you, but that's a bad thing to demonstrate, because I show that that's okay, and all the people who aren't quite as all-knowing as me in this hypothesis would think that it's great to go and interfere with other people's behavior. The queer scene has done that. You have really great, innovative people who went and tried and said, here's how to be good people. And some people immediately close to them got a lot out of that, but then people further and further away just got, oh, it's perfectly okay to shout at people about what we believe. That's what the queer scene has done. You can blame God. No. You're going to thank God. Maybe later. I did why it's light heavy. Yeah, that's all that. So, clay methods, you owe me £2 million. I'm doing what I can for peace too. £2 million is enough for me. I already have a 3D printer. I have to go nowhere to plug it in. Give me a house. anyone can stay there. It's totally okay. Just pay me. My account details are 1515490. That's the sort code. And then the account number is, no, other way around. The sort code is 089249. That should be enough for you. You owe me. I wrote to their president before with like more detail, and they didn't answer. So